Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, one convenient synonym at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
And I don't understand. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gerald Christopher, translates to treasure, Porter.
And I'm Doris. No, no witty synonym here. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Doris works.
Yeah, you seem nice enough anyway.
Yeah.
If you go for the if you go for Doris being short for Dorothea, which I always deny, by the way, it means gift of God, so some kind of treasure.
Oh,
There you
beautiful.
go.
You know, I've been thinking about this for a while now. Your name has the word door in it.
You think
Or at least the sound. It has the sound door,
Oh.
so that's nice. Like, it could be like, you know, every time you say your name, it's like you're opening a door to greet you.
Yeah?
Or, you know, I'm entering your life. If I say Doris, then we're engaged, and it's like I've opened the door.
And is an or
Very.
gold
There's an
in
or, there's an
French?
is, you're being, the door is being.
Yeah. Gold,
Yeah, well-
door, all of it.
It's more like an archaeological name, though. It's named after the ancient Greek city of Doris.
Oh.
Really?
Do you know Doric
Interesting.
pillars? You have Corinthian pillars. You have Doric.
Oh, yeah,
pillars.
sure.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Doric,
Doric, yeah,
Doric,
yeah, like-
Doric,
yeah.
Ionic.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. And the Doric ones were the most sort of simple.
Exactly. They're kind of the oldest.
Yes.
I think simple's not... I think
Simple's
they
not
prefer
the-
classic. Jared.
Classic. Yeah, I did not mean simple. Yeah.
Clean lines.
I wonder if you think that when they, like, when Doric moved, like, looked at Corinthian, they're like, oh, it's just a mess.
Oh,
you're,
it's figured out.
yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, one is minimalist, the other is maximalist. So
Yeah.
imagine the
Yeah.
discussions.
Messimalist.
What if Ricardo Montalban had talked about Doric leather?
Oh.
Wow.
You know, I never knew that when he always used to talk about Corinthian leather.
Yeah.
I think he literally just made that up.
I think that was a made-up thing.
Yeah. it was just
Really?
like- yeah, and everyone's like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know if he
Corinthian
made
leather.
it up, but I think
someone did, yeah.
the people he worked for, yeah. But it worked. But listen, we're all here to talk about minute 114 of Crystal Skull, and this begins with the gang contemplating the calming waters of Lake Ugha, I assume they're going to name it, and ends with everyone chuckling at Mutt's deep-seated abandonment issues. And Jerry, my friend Jerry, I got to ask you a question right off the bat.
Yeah.
How the was knowledge their treasure? What does that even mean? Indy goes into this thing. Oh, knowledge was it wasn't actually gold. It was treasure. And knowledge was their treasure. And explain that to me.
Okay.
You each get a turn, but everyone should gang up on me and try to explain that to me.
Well, all right, first of all, I like the sentiment. And what's nice is throughout the movies, the Indiana Jones, whatever this is, all the 4 movies, that is, I guess, not only implied, but celebrated.
No, it's not.
It's
It is
not.
100% not.
It is 100%
he
not
wants
implied.
the treasure. They want the treasure.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Pete.
That is
That's
a really
good
good point.
point. I stand. Well, okay, but okay. I guess the part that I'm landing on is you're like, all right, so it's always sexy that Indiana Jones is smart, and so you
sure.
know that the knowledge actually has value.
But he's I'm gonna say that a lot of the time, like right now, he's pretend smart because he literally just found out that the Ugha exists like 45 minutes ago, and somehow he already knows that their word for gold is the same as the word for treasure.
Right.
He ran it through Mayan in his head.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's what he does.
I didn't. When he was he talking about the Ugha language, or was he speaking like this? What's the cities of gold? Was he talking about like Spanish?
No, he said the Ugha word for
said
gold
Ugha.
translates
Oh, he
as
says the
treasure.
Ugha.
And
That's really
he,
really.
I mean,
dumb.
he's literally just making stuff up.
Yeah, if he hadn't said the Ugha word, we could have assumed it is the interdimensional beings word.
Right. Yeah.
Which he could
I would have bought that
learned
quicker
through
because
the
he did
skull.
talk to the skull and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is the Ugha word, so he kind of... Maybe the hieroglyphics in the halls, and he's a very fast learner of languages. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a very fast learner. Well, there's this. All right, the famed cities of gold. That was sort of a Spanish. I don't. Pete, did they kick that whole thing off?
I think so, but wasn't it like a misnomer from the beginning? Like, didn't that originally
Yeah.
come from the Golden Man, like in Colombia?
All I know is it's that one. There's that group of Native Americans, and I can't remember who it was. One of Coronado, somebody like
Cortez.
that.
Cortez.
It was. One of them kept walking around the Southwest trying to find.
Oh, it was Coronado was he went
trying
up
to-
there,
and
he's
they-
trying to
He's kind of trying to find the city of gold, and the one guy, one of the Native Americans said, "Okay, I'll show you the city of gold," because they'd already slaughtered most of the city, and they were just a general pestilence, and so he walked them to like Kansas, and they followed him to Kansas. It was like, meh. Joke's on you,
Nice.
Coronado.
Yeah, I'm bored.
Yeah, and so you're like, okay, so I would think that it would be the Spanish word. I don't know.
But
I
the
don't
Spanish,
know.
I think they came up with the city of gold. I think they misunderstood, like, because there was that group of people in Colombia that had the Golden Man thing, and they remember there was like a thing where they said that a guy would dive, the king would cover himself with gold and dive into the lake.
Oh,
weird.
right.
But even beyond like the language, like
Yeah.
the terminology, what given everything we know about the interdimensional beings, which is almost nothing, where is Indy getting the idea that their treasure was knowledge?
But it's not even them, it's the Ugha. And if the Ugha's treasure was knowledge, why did they keep this whole giant warehouse filled with trinkets? And then what good did their knowledge do them when the entire civilization was wiped out in 5 minutes by like 6 Russians?
Including all the treasures.
Yeah.
Doris, where are the treasures now? Like all that treasure and knowledge, where are they?
Right
At the bottom
this
of
moment.
of this watery hole. Like collapsed upon itself with what's his face, Mac, in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mac in the middle.
Mac in the middle, right? New TV series coming out. The treasure could have just been decoys. Like all the people trying to break into it, they don't go further than this big hall full of gold and stuff because that's what they want. They never get to the real temple.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that the smart thing is they keep this room full of treasure so that no one will steal their knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like the
why
decoy.
Why would you try to keep knowledge from people? I mean, certain governments or the church did at some point because they think too much knowledge is dangerous. But why would you not want to share your knowledge?
Well, so much of this reads. There's so many cross currents going on in this. Number one, remember we kind of said when Indy steals the idol from the Chachapoyan temple, and you're like, it seems like the Jovitos are still worshiping there.
Yeah.
So the aliens were stealing whatever, the mummies and the Buddhas and all the stuff from civilizations where it was still very much present.
They were just stealing people's stuff.
They were just they were Indy in the Chachapoyan temple. They just did a
Indiana
better
Jones
job, and they
style.
had no Belloc.
Right.
This is like their warehouse. This is their Area 51 warehouse.
I guess so. They got the idea from us.
That's what I'm wondering. Did they keep saying? Is their mantra? It belongs in a museum.
So we'll start a museum in this place that nobody can get to.
If you are an alien or an interdimensional being, and you're not even corporal for most of the time you're there because part of you is missing.
Yeah.
First of all, is it them that collected all the stuff, or is it the Ugha? Because only the Ugha know this place exists.
Yeah, we still
How
haven't
do they
come
do
to
that?
at a conclusion.
Maybe
We
the
don't know.
Ugha are the ones who are I mean, yeah, if they consider the knowledge, is it okay? Is
It's
the knowledge that the aliens are there? Is that what the Ugha? Is that the Ugha's treasure that they know about the aliens and they're guarding it so that nobody else knows about it, and that makes it special? It creates a
the knowledge of another dimension would certainly be something to keep for yourself.
So the aliens are their girlfriend in Canada, basically.
I guess so. But there actually is a girlfriend in Canada. But the whole point of the girlfriend in Canada is you tell everybody about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
is it the
I don't
Ugha
know,
who
it is
collected
weird.
the stuff, and how would they have done it? Or is it the aliens like teleporting all the things from across the world into this small little?
It could be.
No
That makes-
idea.
That's how I would do it if I were them.
And this all feels like a tacked on, like after school special, like Indy said.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like he made this up and it doesn't mean anything.
And
You know what's weird?
The
And
thing
I-
is, we're trying to find logic in there and trying to find out where there is none. There is no logic.
Right. Yeah.
It is just
Yeah.
a very mentally written script.
Yeah.
See, one of the cross currents in this specific movie is the aliens are creating a museum, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do we have at the very beginning? You look at the alien room and it's dusty and they have all this stuff and nobody's in it and nobody's visiting and not even the Ugha are docents. And you think at the beginning of this movie where Indy has, he sort of, drops a knowledge bomb in the library on that student, something, whatever it was. Remember, kids, you gotta get out of the classroom or into
Yeah.
the field.
get out
of the
library.
Yeah.
Did you notice that he
And
always
you're
says
like-
library, not library?
Oh, weird.
Does he say library?
He says library. He also says W's, remember?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a lot of trouble. But what's weird? Okay, there's like the. I was thinking about this as I was watching this minute. Is that thinking about the Indiana Jones movies we've got, Temple of Doom and Last Crusade and this one, to varying degrees of success and or just delicateness or something, have this kind of clear cut like, well, we all learned our lesson, like, and that's the end of that adventure. That kind of like right before the last end credit commercial thing. You've got your here's what we learned, and here's like we're wrapping everything up, and now we're gonna go on and do our thing. But like Raiders kind of doesn't have that.
The Raiders lesson, just leave it alone. Don't touch it.
No, but I mean, they don't even have a scene. They don't have a scene where they're like, well, we found that arc. Like there's a scene with like, this is a top men scene, but that's like business that's like beyond what happened in the movie and stuff. And then there's like the scene with Indy and Marion, and that's just about them. There's no like, well, it turns out the real arc was, the friends we melted along the way. There's no like, like summing up of the movie or anything. But like Temple of Doom and Last Crusade and this one all kind of attempt that. And I think, it's kind of, it's gracefully done in Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, even if it feels a little bit TV show in some of those.
Uh-huh.
But this one is just kind of like, oh yeah, wait, it's that scene. It's that scene where we're supposed to like explain the movies. The treasure knowledge. Let's do that. Okay, good. We wrapped it up.
Well, and
Well
does
done.
this,
At least it sounded deep.
Yeah. This will satisfy him until they
it's a
start thinking about
platitude.
it.
It sounds deep, but when you think about it, there's nothing there.
Exactly.
I actually have a pet peeve with this very line of dialogue. I mean, he
Okay.
just said their treasure was knowledge. Period. But then he repeats himself again.
Yeah.
Even if it's just pseudo deep, but a
Yeah.
pregnant little pause, let it sink in. But that it takes away all the effect.
It's like
So
he
I
verbally
have-
puts his hand on Mutt's shoulder or something.
I have
Knowledge was
a
their
real
treasure.
problem with the delivery of the line in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
But you know,
Yeah.
speaking of problems with delivery, has Indy earned this moment where he pats his lap like a dog and then like to a puppy and Marion comes and cuddles up with him?
Although I actually
Yeah.
like how she cuddles up with him. That feels like Indian Marion from
I like-
Raiders. Just for a split of a second, it feels like them again.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. It is weird. You notice it though. I'm with you, Pete. It is like are they somewhere along the way? Did they both decide? Oh, you know what? We are back together. We're gonna.
Well, I don't mind
as soon
the
as we
back
get back to
together.
Connecticut, we'll get
Just
married and stuff.
The patting his lap seems odd.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she was. We didn't see her at the beginning of that shot. Maybe she was like giving the look, like, "Hey, I want to sit on your lap." He's like,
Yeah.
"Ah, come on, you.
Yeah.
Of course you
Yeah.
can sit on my lap. Come here."
Their relationship in this movie is the strangest thing anyhow. I mean, she's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
easily... she has every reason to be pissed off with him. And then he just
Certainly.
says, "They weren't you, honey." And everything is forgotten.
Yeah.
She just starts swooning every time he looks at her. Oh my God. But I actually
Yeah.
take away all
There
the
is a sense
dialogue.
of, like-
take away what they're saying, and just that like screenshot of Marion cuddling up to him in this one is the one thing that I like about the scene. By the way, Tommy said it was not the worst. It is not
Yeah.
the worst, but it's also not a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a sense of Indy throughout this movie after he sees Marion that, like, as soon as he decides that, oh, you know what, maybe I will stick around with Marion, then it's like assumed that it's going to work out. Like Marion's on board. Like she's sitting in his lap now because he patted his lap.
Yeah.
And comparing that to how she was in Raiders kind of
Yeah.
strikes me as, I mean, okay, people change. She's older. She's got a kid. But, oh, look, that kid doesn't need a father figure anymore. He's grown. But,
Right.
Yeah, but, well, he's grown to like a menace. He's grown to be like a
Yeah.
he's like a general menace released upon the world, and they either need to contain him.
See, that sounds like a character out of a movie Tom would love. General Menace.
General
Menace,
menace.
yeah.
In a Marvel movie.
Take that back. It's mean. Hurt my feelings. But I mean, yeah, speaking of Mutt, I mean, he's got this, and speaking of kind of forced, clunky lines, Indy's like, oh, why don't you stick around, Junior?
Yeah.
Which sounds super unnatural and sounds exactly like it's only said so that it can set up the next line, which is supposed to be meaningful. And Mutt turns out, why didn't you, Dad? Why didn't you stick around? And everyone's like, it's in your face, Mutt.
What the? No, what? Seriously, what the? Mutt says this with so much pain, and it ends with like the Star Trek bridge chuckle at the end of every Star Trek. Like, everyone's like, oh, the kids
They do the
got a
cheer- the
lifetime of
chips
hurt
freeze.
and pain.
No, I didn't see the next minute, so I just caught like the very brief and I
Well,
was
I mean,
like,
yeah, no,
they
it's true,
can't
but you
be
can tell, yeah.
laughing.
Oh,
They can't be laughing at this, are they?
Like the fact that there's even like a grin on anybody's face. Like Indy at least should be like shamed a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, Mutt, I'm sorry. You know
No,
what? I
that-
was young. I was stupid.
it goes into the ending of it's the ending of Chips but this time with absentee fathers.
you know what they remind me of when I look at them? Just all sitting there in that glow, this unnatural glow of the background.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they're high.
Yeah.
Or something. And they're all
Why doesn't anybody stick around, huh? I don't know.
I wish I knew my dad.
This is like a really valid question. Why didn't you stick around? And the natural reaction would be like embarrassed silence, maybe?
Yeah.
And
Right.
Indy biting his lip, and Marion like, you tell him? But
Yeah.
instead, they're all,
Good one, son.
Well, it's interesting. Just don't bring it up. That's the thing. They could have completely avoided this if he just said, like,
Yeah.
why don't you stick around, Junior? And he turned around. Or if he took out his bullwhip and he grabbed Junior and he went, whoosh, and he said, time to clean your bedroom. Whatever the hell. I don't know.
Right.
But he
Yeah, like, why,
why does Indy call him Junior anyway, when we know that he hated being called Junior by his own father?
Well, he says
Oh,
it like
maybe
an
it's
insult
aggressive.
too. He says
Yeah.
it in a mean way. Like he says, "Why don't you stick around, Junior?"
haha, you're someone's son, you loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like
he
he's doing
responds with
this
so much
very,
hurt and pain.
very deliberate thing, like somewhere up there your grandfather is laughing right now, yeah? It's very
Yeah.
deliberate, but
It is weird. Like, why would Mutt, why do the writers, why do they have Mutt ask that question, which is a legit serious question, or at least a point that they have to get past, and it's at the very end of the movie, and they just treat it as a laugh. That's
It's really weird.
really weird.
I wonder if it's somewhere in there that question is tied to gold and knowledge. Like if Indy, I that's all.
Well,
I'm
actually,
left with.
dad and Ugha is also the word for I'm going to go get some smokes. I'll be right back. So it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
the logical answer then would be Fortune and Glory, kid. Fortune and Glory.
Dad and Ugha is actually means multiple families, kid.
Yeah.
So I gotta go see Brenda.
Who knows? I mean, maybe he has a kid with Willie as well.
Yeah, really. I gotta go see Willie's son. I'll be right back.
We don't know
Or
what happened
is-
to her. We know what happened to Elsa, so he doesn't have a kid with Elsa. But
Nah, probably not.
Willie, probably.
Yeah, I guess we don't know. Yeah, although the kid would be at the bottom of some Grail cave now.
Well, actually, do we know that Elsa is dead? Because she could have had like a sip of the Grail and then.
Well, it's
Oh,
the
she
Indiana
was just
Jones
fine.
universe. I guess people actually die, as opposed to the other universe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, people do tend to stay dead in these movies, which is kind of nice.
Well, Marion didn't.
You have to,
Oh, that's true.
you have to, if you're going to bring that question into the movie, which is, of course, is a great one, like Indy never sticks around. You're like, this is something that lasts all 4 movies, and we have our theories, and it's fun to speculate as to why, like, he he jumps out his classroom window, right? And you're like, oh, okay, well, he just does the same thing, like, out of the bathroom window in his own house when the marital strife gets too high. But
It's
you're
time
like,
for dinner.
yeah, so you're like, okay, but they really face this here. And it would have been fine if they didn't bring it up. That would have been okay. But since they bring it up, you're like, why don't they sort of consummate that discussion?
Yeah. And what's too bad is that earlier in the movie, they had actually a really nice scene that I
Yeah,
liked a lot
sure.
with them all arguing in the truck, and he's like, "You're not my dad. Shut up. Stop calling yourself that." And that was like, that felt legit, and like his anger was real and everything and stuff. So it's there in the movie, but then they kind of like forget about it for a while to have a chase, and now it comes back just as a dumb gag.
Yeah.
It would work in every other thing other than a one-off line.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was delivered better or something. I don't. It's not.
Why can't Indy take that and be like, I'm sorry, Mutt. Just say something. Like, just say something sincere. I don't want like a big scene or anything, but just
No,
like,
I don't. We don't need it.
Hey, listen, things are going to be different from now on or something. You go fix your motorcycles. I love you.
We had kind of like the similar scene in Raiders when he confronts Marion, or Marion confronts him, and she slaps him. And it is a dark scene.
Yeah.
There is anger, and it is not resolved until later in the movie. We don't have time for this right now. Let's do something else first. But there is this pain out in the open, and it's a really, really strange way of handling a topic like that.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of Tommy, what you said, like at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where was the beat, or where was the, sort of the conclusion, which is incredible because the government takes the Ark and locks it away, and it's too powerful, all that stuff, and you're like, all right, so he's a raider. It's raiders. Is he talking about the Nazis? Is he talking about the government? Or is he talking about himself? Who's the raider in the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark?
It used to be Indy, I think. And then it became Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, so somebody else is now.
No, it didn't.
Well, but then here, you're like, okay, so are the aliens raiders?
I mean, yeah, right? They are. I mean,
They're shoving everything in there. They're putting all this into a museum.
So in essence, Tom, you're watching Raiders.
I am watching people who are raiders, but I'm not watching raiders.
It is the culmination of the whitewashing of Indy. He's becoming more harmless and benign over the course of the films.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better way of putting it than like,
Yeah.
Jamie Benning was saying last time about like, hey, don't make a big deal about how many people he kills or how violent he is. But you're right, he is a little more benign, a little more...
It's kind of fascinating because in our favorite movie, it's the darkest, and he's, I don't know, maybe the most, I don't know if he's the most harmful.
He's a very ambiguous character, at least. He's not a straight-laced...
What's great is he gets screwed in the end of Raiders, which for whatever reason feels great.
Right,
even though it doesn't, even though, fools, bureaucratic fools, you're like, wait, what just happened? And it's kind of fascinating. But after that moment settles in, and he kind of realizes, he's like, she's like, well, I know what I have here. And you're like, oh, he kind of looks down and you're like, wait a minute, there's other stuff that's more important. It's relationships, it's people. And he's found this lovely woman that it's fantastic. They rekindle, and that feels good. That supersedes all this, government and art
We have
stuff.
a personal happy ending, but not a professional happy ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. And it's a satisfying ending for the audience, even if it's like, frustrating at the same time. You're like, oh my God, the thing's gone again. Oh my God, I didn't get the thing. But it's satisfying. It feels right.
We were just talking. It makes me sound so much angrier at the movie than I actually am.
I'm just thinking, I guess in Temple, he doesn't have the treasure. He leaves the Sankara stones. He's not going to put them in a museum and then let the town die of...
Right. But that's his choice, too. He decides to do that.
Yeah, he decides
which really
to
sort
do
of points
that.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, is odd because it's a prequel.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Where do you lose that selflessness between that and Raiders? Yeah.
Yeah, within like 8 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. It was just a phase. It passed. Well, we sort of passed over this, but is Indy's plan... He tries to talk Mutt out of going down the mountain because it's going to get dark soon. Is his plan for the four of them to just stay up there?
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to scream.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody can... all right, I'm about to scream. Here we go.
Okay. All right.
When has the fucking sun ever set in this fucking movie?
We have had maybe like 5 minutes of dark in this movie.
Yeah, there was 5 minutes of dark. You're like, and what's funny, he's like, oh, the darkness comes quickly in the jungle. You're like, boop. It's like a cartoon where the sun drops. Don't they hang the moon? Like they hang the moon in a cartoon. So it's basically what they do here. The sun. You're like, I guess the sun set, or it's sort of perpetually about to set-ish. That golden hour.
I guess so. Yeah.
This
like,
makes
you
so
could
is
just talk
Indy,
to the backdrop guy, and he'll put the sun back up for you.
Is Indy thinking that he's gonna fall asleep right now?
Yeah, he's cuddling up with Marion.
Like everybody's gonna fall asleep atop the mountain?
Probably Ox will build a fire right on the top of that ridge, and they will all cuddle around the fire until the next morning.
Yeah,
that is a total Jerry Porter move, by the way. Jerry, you could fall asleep anywhere, anytime, immediately, and I need like 6 hours to fall asleep.
No, that's awful.
Pete, you're like, first I'm going to brush my teeth, then I'm going to organize my marbles.
Then I'm going to plan what I'm going to worry about tomorrow morning.
Yeah, my cat gets 3.5 fish tidbits.
Did I give him 5 full tidbits? Oh my God, now I'm awake.
I don't understand this line. I don't understand what they're talking about.
You know what sucks?
Yeah.
It actually, if you think about it, even that line is there, or that idea is there to feed into the "Why didn't you, Dad?" line. He's like, the reason he says, "Why don't you stick around?" is because Mutt's ignoring him and leaving, even though Indy's telling him not to go down the thing, which is actually a good idea because there's plenty of light. Like, there's no reason for any of these last 4 or 5 lines.
Well, it kind of brings Mutt back to the original Mutt, which is he's just sort of, I don't know, recalcitrant and stubborn, and he's kind of like, so now what? And you're kind of like, wait a minute, I thought we had graduated this.
Well, he didn't know he had a dad he could be aggressive with until a couple of minutes ago. So
yeah,
right.
I mean, it does, like, the "Why didn't you, Dad?" like that little antagonism. That's true to like what they've been like for most of the movie. So there's that, but like the content of it is really dumb, and the way it's handled is dumb. There, I found a flaw in this movie. I got $1.
By the way, I will say that Indy is correct about one thing. It does get dark faster in the jungle or in the tropics.
Oh, sure.
But wouldn't you rather be at they're on that big thing?
It gets dark faster than the scene lasts.
It does.
That's
the thing. They've been in the jungle for...
dark.
Yeah.
They've been in the jungle for one hell of a long time in this movie, and that's what's tough. It doesn't get dark fast. we've watched like days
Yeah.
and days go, but it's like the movie was filmed in Jericho. It's like the sun just stopped. and then they, I don't, now it's going, I'm just imagining, is he going to fall asleep there for 10 hours
Yeah.
or 8 hours?
Well, no,
Then
well,
they'll
in
stumble down
tropics,
the
it's
mountain.
like it's gonna be like a 12-hour night, like 11 hours of dark.
You know, I want to know at the beginning of this minute, so within about 60 seconds, we have a massive ecosystem change.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, so, have there been new species over the last 500 years? Things have sort of redeveloped, or is there, like, what happens here? Like, are there all of a sudden fish that are just cascading into this land?
Yeah.
And if they
Cut
are,
off
like,
from their habitat. Yeah.
yeah. Or did they learn to live in trees or something? And then all of a
Breathing in
sudden,
pulverized Buddhas and stuff now.
Well, is this also going to cause?
Massive catastrophe happening.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Well, I feel like this would cause tsunamis, also, like in areas on the edge of the sea.
Yeah.
So, like, where was that water? Was it dammed? Is that a lake that's now being siphoned off going into the forest?
I guess, I mean, we've seen that there are a lot of big fat rivers. I mean, is it the
Yeah.
Amazon?
No.
Is the
No,
Amazon
'cause
just
it-
now flowing into this lake?
When you look, it looked like it was a lake before that was being held back by all those mountains.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
All
weird.
right, so maybe it's
Yeah.
That
just
raises
going to
even
be
more
a,
questions.
it's
Yeah.
just going to be a wetlands for a while.
It's like someone just kind of put a bomb to the dam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. These aliens have been great to us. They've been great to the Ugha. They just not only
Stole our
did,
stuff.
they're
they let
all
everybody
killed.
die.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
used us as
Not so valid.
they used us as ticker takers and docents, and then
Yeah. And then they go full like Joe Pesci and just bury him in where no one's ever going to find him.
Keep them here.
and their whole civilization.
Yeah.
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 We just did that anyway now. Yeah.
Maybe this is going to be some sort of Atlantis. You have this underwater, and it's a civilization, and it was, I don't know,
Probably not.
probably not.
Well, Jerry, is there anything coming
too much to ask?
in
Is
or
that
out
too-
of anything? Or
Coming in like the water. Coming in
Yeah,
like the
this
water.
just
cascading over the
cascading over the
mountains.
wires. This bits in. Bloop, 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 bloop. This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Let's see. Oh. Up until this minute, how has Mutt changed?
How has he changed?
Yeah, what is the biggest way that Mutt has changed throughout this movie?
I mean, he does call Indy dad, which he hasn't done before, right? Unless I forget something.
Yeah.
He is beginning to even jokingly accept Indy as his dad.
He's less
And-
aggressive, more accepting. Yeah.
He's swallowed the bitter pill that there's no such thing as a city of gold, which is going to crush him. the more thinks about it.
He's adopted this perverse sense of dark humor.
Yeah.
Why didn't you, Dad?
Yeah.
Da-dun!
That really, if you think about it, that really is like a huge FU.
Yeah.
Shut up, old man.
Yeah.
Talking about this, thinking about this really makes me want to wish he would be in the next one.
Yeah, like the villain or something. You know?
Like, he sides with
Always
like
wanted
the
to pay you
bell
back,
up of the
Dad.
I don't, if anything, I think Mutt in this minute, although I think he's changed a lot, he seems to have mellowed, and he has a little bit of respect, and he kind of slows down a little bit, and he's not so like, give me the sword, that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Yeah.
He does seem to have mellowed out, except in this moment, he kind of reverts back to his original Mutt, like, I don't know, come on, you old let's get down the mountain.
Yeah.
He's kind of a little bit of that.
I'm done.
Yeah,
We're in the
exactly.
denouement. Let's go.
Exactly. My bike's around here somewhere.
I think. Since commies took it. His bike is long gone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So much is long gone.
Aw, it's sad.
Yeah. And it seems so long gone, although it isn't.
Doris, you're a big fan of Indiana Jones franchise. How do you feel about this movie and Crystal Skull and where it fits in and in your life?
It doesn't feature much in my life. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
I'm not angry
Fair
it
enough.
exists. It didn't ruin my childhood.
Right.
It's not the movie that I watch deliberately. If it happens to be on TV, which right now, strangely, it is a lot, and I come across it on, I probably watch for a couple of minutes, especially if it's the first part of the movie, the first half. I really like the library scene and the goofiness of the chase. I don't really care for all the jungle scenes, though. And
Yeah,
I
okay.
usually switch to
Okay.
something else. So it's not something that I watch deliberately. I had to actually look where I had it in preparation for this minute, because it's not... I have a 3 DVD set, not a 4 DVD set.
Okay. Very nice.
I knew I had it, and I had to check. Do I have it on my Apple? Do I have it on Prime? I went
you
through
must have
all
it,
of my
right,
hard
somewhere?
drives, and I found it on the very
Do you-
last hard drive.
What are your hopes for Indy 5? Do you think they're gonna? You
I have
hopeful?
only
You
one
think
hope.
they're gonna?
I have only one hope.
Yeah.
Make it good. Make it good.
Oh,
make it-
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
simple.
make it ridiculous. Even if Indy dies at the end, I would be fine with it if it's good. And don't make Harrison Ford look that much younger than he actually is. I mean, I think they're
Right.
still pretending he's 10 years younger than he is, but I mean, they were trying to kind of get his age in this one. It didn't quite succeed, but I mean, don't
The
go
cat's
the
kinda out of the
Roger
bag now.
Moore James Bond 1986 way. Please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have no
that's
hopes
fair.
for Indy 5, because I think if I keep my hopes low, I might not be as disappointed.
We all have to be careful, don't we?
Yeah.
About what we wish for, what we get excited about.
I have a very strange... well, I don't hate this one. I try to think of it as it's the comic book version of Indiana Jones. It's goofier than the others. It's more logical than the others. I don't like to watch it as much, but I'm fine it exists.
Sure.
There you go.
But, I mean, I tried to watch that twice in the theater when it came out. I fell asleep in the theater twice. I
Sounds
fell
cozy.
asleep at the exact point in the movie twice.
Oh, which point?
Well, since I was asleep, well, I did not.
What's the last thing you remember?
Well, I know that I didn't see when he was captured and he has to stare into the eyes of the skull, and I didn't know how he
okay.
meets Marion again. So the reunite, the jungle
Oh, wow.
camp scene. I woke
That's
up.
when you fell asleep. All right.
That is
what
right
I
around the
slept
dividing
through.
line of when I start to get anxious.
That-
You
that's
don't,
what-
don't
yeah.
like
that-
the jungle scenes.
That's the scene I slept through, and then I woke at the same point in the movie twice, which is when they start arguing on the back of the truck.
Oh, see, that's a good part. I like that part.
So I had to wait
Well-
for the DVD to actually see what is in between those. So I'm not going to go
They should-
a third time.
They should release that version, the Doris Snap version,
Doris
where
Snap.
just cut out the scenes that you missed.
Yeah.
I'd watch
But,
it.
I mean, it perfectly encapsulates for me how I feel about this movie. I just don't care. And
Yeah.
I always have... I mean, I watched it like a good week ago to prepare. And the thing with this movie is I probably can do the dialogue of the other three by heart. Maybe Doom not so much anymore, but I forget what happens in this movie as soon as I switch it off.
It's a really
It does
slippery
not-
movie.
yeah,
I have the same
It
problem.
does not stick in my head.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're doing this podcast, so that every single minute will get lodged in your head and you'll know
Cheers to you.
exactly what happened, even the part you slept through. But you, Doris, you do a couple of podcasts your own self. You should tell people where to find them.
Well, I've been
'Cause you're
guesting on
busy.
quite a lot of the podcasts in the Minute by Minute world right now. I've only done one myself. That is the American Graffiti Minute, which I've done
Yeah.
with Tierney and with Rachel. And that was last summer. But you can still find it out there. It's complete. You can listen through all 53 episodes of it.
Some of us were on that show.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And a great movie.
So the next guest
Absolutely.
appearance probably will be Sandlot Minute. Again, Tierney.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We should say, yeah, I mean, if you are, we're dropping movie by minutes names all over the place. You should go to moviesbyminutes.com to find the last I heard about or over 200 movies are being covered minute by minute by somebody somewhere. So go take a gander, and there's a good chance that your favorite movie is on there, being discussed by nerds like us.
And like Doris. So check
Are you
that
telling
out.
me I'm not a nerd? Are you being rude?
Oh, I'm sorry. But Doris, thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. I'm glad you stayed awake
For the whole minute.
Well,
More than we can say
Well-
for Jerry.
this minute was not scripted, so maybe Indy 4 should not have been scripted. It might have been better.
There you go. Yeah, take that. And everyone, thank you so much for listening, and please come back next time for minute 115. You knew that was going to happen. This is 114. The next one's going to be 115 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Can you imagine Indy and Raiders like they're good pieces, Marcus, and all that, and it's like worth at least the price of a ticket to enlightenment and knowledge, and you know, I don't want a cash value or anything. Just let me know stuff.
You are an awful father, and I'll never forgive you. Dun-dun!